Hello, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Deb from DG Reads, and this is my furry sidekick, Kylie, and we are here today to kick off a reading vlog letting the dice choose my books for the Dungeons and Book Dragons Readathon. The Dungeons and Book Dragons Readathon is a month-long readathon for November brought to us by Ivy at the Geek Goddess, and it's a Dungeons & Dragons style readathon, and so far it's been a lot of fun. The first few days were a little chaotic because I was still doing Hollow Weekend and trying to balance both readathons, so I didn't wind up vlogging this particular readathon for that, but we are now on to the second leg of our journey, and I'm excited to catch you up. For this readathon, every approximately 5 days, we get a main quest prompt, and we have to finish that, and then once we finish that we can take on some side quests. And the current prompt for the second leg of the story is to read a book with a magical world or that opens a new world in some way, shape, or form. And for that one I am doing a reread of Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This is a book that I really enjoyed the first time, and the sequel is out this month, and I'm planning to buddy read it with a bunch of people, so I needed to refresh myself on what was going on in book one. I'm very glad that I did because I've been having a good time with it again, but also I'm realizing that I had forgotten quite a lot and mixed it up with some other things I'd been reading at the same time. So I'm super glad that I did decide to do a full reread. This is one that I'm nearly done with. I flew through it. I started it last night. I sat down to crochet just for a little bit and wound up crocheting way too late in the night because I was having a good time with the book. And now I think I'm about at 90%. So I will be done with this really, really soon. And we have until the 10th to submit any books for this particular round. Once the prompts for the next round drop, we can no longer submit the side quests. So there is a deadline, but I am planning to pick up several books for side quests along the way. For this particular round, there are 7 potential side quests, each with their own prompt. And so what I've decided to do is I'm going to roll a d8 dice, and if I get 1 through 7, then I just go with whatever that prompt is. Some of them are ones I'm more excited about than other, but I think I can make any of them work. And if I roll an 8, then I get to pick whatever, as long as it meets one of the prompts. So I think that's a fun way to choose my reading for the week. I don't have any particular things that I need to be reading this week. The live show I was going to be doing this coming weekend has been postponed for a week, so the pressure's off with that one, and I have no other particular reading deadlines. So I definitely have a lot of books I'd like to get to, but I have room in my TBR to throw in a wild pick as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll. We're going to roll at least 1, but I think we might roll the first 2 just so I have options and can maybe pick up a physical book and an audiobook maybe. I don't know. We'll see what the dice tells us. And apologies in advance, I'm getting over some allergies that hit me really hard over the weekend, and thankfully I'm coming out the other side, but my voice is still not 100% yet, and I am going to look forward to using the opportunity to sit and read and get cozy and all of that. The other thing that's going on currently is we just got an extra encounter, a battle with a creature this week for the readathon, and that is page count driven, so I'm really trying to get to as many pages in the next couple of days as I possibly can. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to our dice. Okay, so I've got a D8 here, and then I also, off to the side down here, have the list of prompts, so we'll know what we're going to get once we get a number. So first off, we get a 8. Well, then that's fine. I get to pick whatever I want for that one. So I think what I'm going to do is roll a second one so I can get a prompt, and then I will pick one that fits one of the other prompts that we don't get. So let's see what the other roll is going to be. A 2. All right, so we got a 2 and an 8, which means I get 1 prompt and 1 kind of free pick. That gives me a lot of options. So I'm really happy with how these first 2 rolls went. The prompt that we received that's from the game is to encounter the mirage, read a book that features secrets, hidden truths, or unreliable characters, like being led astray. I'm centering in on the secrets part of that and picking a book that I know is due in really, really quickly on my Libby holds for audiobook, but I have the physical copy already, and that is Welcome to Murder Week by Karen Duquesne. This is one that I had in a poll that I put up on Bookstagram a while back, and this one came in a really close second to the book that actually won that poll. And it's one that sounds really intriguing. It's caught my eye more than once. What I know about this one and how it relates to the prompt is we have a woman who is a little bit estranged from her mother, I gather. Her mother has passed away, but she has to go clear out her stuff. Well, in doing so, she finds some tickets that she knew nothing about. It was a secret purchase on her mother's part, apparently, and it is about a murder mystery event. It's tickets for a murder mystery being hosted by this small town. Tickets for an upcoming murder week in the Peak District in England. A whole town has come together to stage a fake murder mystery to boost tourism in this quaint hamlet. Baffled but intrigued by her mother's secret purchase, Kath decides to go on the trip for herself and begins a journey she never anticipated. So it has secret in the synopsis, and it's a murder mystery type thing, which involves a mystery, which involves uncovering secrets, I'm assuming. So this is the book that I'm going to go with for that. And then for my free pick, I'm going to use the prompt that is for quest number 3, and that is for The Lantern Bearer. Read a book that's been getting a lot of hype or you think will be 5 stars. And I figure I might as well go with the one that won that same poll that the Murder Week one came in second on. And it's a book I've been super hyped to get to. I wanted to get to in October and I didn't. And I've had a lot of people talking about enjoying this one a whole lot. So I have a lot of hype for it. I've heard a lot of hype for it. And that is Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. And this is Holly Jackson's adult debut. I've really enjoyed most of her YA. But in this one, we are following a young woman, I believe, and she is kind of reassessing her life. She's living at home with her parents, and then somebody attacks her in her home, hits her over the head. She winds up in a condition where the doctors are basically saying she has about a week to live. And she decides she's going to use her time that she has left to figure out who murdered her and get some justice, I suppose. So I'm super excited for this one. This is a gifted copy I received from Bantam, and I got some fun little spooky stickers to go with it. I am super intrigued for what this one is going to have in store for me, and I think this is where I'm actually going to start. I've made it maybe 20 pages in, maybe 30 pages in the other night when I was in between prompts where I knew I couldn't finish another book, but the new prompts hadn't dropped yet. So I kind of started this one thinking it would actually fit for quite a few potential prompts we might be getting. So with that, I have not made it far enough to give initial thoughts, but I think definitely I will be continuing on in here. So I've got a pizza in the oven. I decided it was just going to be a cozy PJs on the couch kind of night. Pizza sounded good, and that's where we're at with it. So I'm excited for this, to let the dice control things. Some of these prompts are going to get harder if I get them repeatedly, but we'll see what the die gives us. So after telling you last night that I was coming out from having an allergy-related cough, my allergies have kicked off again today, so we'll see how this week goes. But in the meantime, I have made a good dent into Not Quite Dead Yet, so I wanted to give you an update before I leave for work today. And I'm about 45% of the way through on the audio. I haven't checked where that puts me in terms of page count, but I'm having a fantastic time with this one. It has very much the same feels, I would say, as A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, in the sense of having a younger, somewhat impetuous character going out after answers and not necessarily caring who she makes mad in the process of it. But in here, it makes maybe a little bit more sense because our main character, Jet, only has 7 days to live, and she's bitter about that, as she should be, and trying to make the most of the time she has left. The police are, of course, investigating. She has some connections with the police, so she's getting more information than maybe your average person would. Plus, they're giving her a little bit more leeway in the fact that they know she is dying and it's her own murder they are trying to solve. They have their theory on who has done the thing, and she's not entirely sure she agrees with them. All that said, she's not necessarily the most likable character. She's a little bit abrasive with people around her even before this happened, but her family and the people around her are a little off-putting as well, I would say. She does have a best friend character in here, and he's helping her out a lot with things, and I really do like him. Obviously, he has a crush on her. She's completely oblivious to this fact, I think, and not sure where that's going to take it. Obviously, romance is not the main point of this one. I'm really finding the medical stuff actually interesting in here. I don't know how reality-based it is. I don't have that insight, but she has some medical conditions that kind of make this situation worse for her and make her more susceptible to death in this situation. And we're seeing things kind of progress. It's not like everything's hunky-dory and then one day she's just going to drop dead. What's happening that's eventually going to kill her is something that has some progression happening. We're seeing her having to deal with those barriers along the way. And my battery is starting to die on me, and I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I noticed that to go ahead and wrap this up, go to work. I think I will finish this up pretty quickly today and probably have some final thoughts for you this evening. It is later the same evening. I am actually feeling a little bit better, but tired. Really, really tired. It's only 9 o'clock, but honestly, I'm about done in for the day, which is not my norm. But I do have some updates for you. While getting some multitasking in today, I did finish up Not Quite Dead Yet. And I really had a fantastic time with this one. I really liked the idea of the kind of process of grieving and pre-grieving someone who's been murdered but is still standing here and interacting with the people around her, investigating her own murder. I really like that. I really loved the relationship between Jet and her best friend Billy and what's going on with them, and the drama that happens with the reveals and all of that in here. It was really well done. I still think by the end, Jet's not an entirely likable character. She's done some things. She's abrasive to people, but that's not entirely uncalled for, I guess, given things that have happened to her. Trigger warnings in here for child death because there is a back history with her family that her sister did die, and she's felt like she's been to blame all of these years for that. She's felt like her mother has put that blame on her, and that is being dealt with in here. Obviously, the death of an adult child in terms of Jet having this kind of unescapable injury going on, and kind of the loss of a friendship, how far people will go in really, really bad ways to try to advance themselves and so forth. There's just a lot going on in here. The mystery was really good. I think the feelings in here that really felt similar to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I think worked even better in here, given that it is an adult and she's still impetuous, but there's more reason behind that maybe. And in the end, I'm giving this one 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It definitely had me a little emotional. It had me feeling bittersweet about certain things and just really having a good time and not wanting to put it down. And all of those are things that I want from this kind of mystery thriller type of read. So that was a good first book. And then I have made it to nearly 40%. So I figured I should do an update for you this evening before I go to bed. I'll probably listen to a little bit more before bed and then continue on and definitely finish this up tomorrow. In this one, we're following our main character, Kath, and her mother has passed away. She finally has to deal with her mother's belongings. And in her belongings, she realizes that her mother bought these tickets to go to this town that's putting on a murder mystery as a fundraiser. It's not something that really seems in character with her mother. She wasn't a big British mystery show type of person or anything. Their relationship wasn't the type where they would just surprise each other with go off on adventure type of things. But she winds up finding out she can't really get fully returned the money that her mom spent on this, so she goes ahead and goes. She gets paired up with a couple of fun roommates who I think are making a nice little unit to support each other. They all have had kind of people who aren't with them on this trip, and I think that works well with this. And there's also a mystery going on outside of the put on mystery of why her mother bought these tickets. The person kind of in charge says something that her mother was very cagey about what she was up to, but kind of indicated there was something she wanted or was looking for, or someone she was looking for. So I'm really curious to find out where this is going to go. It's poking some fun in a good way towards some of the murder mystery obsessed people in the shows and all of that, which I'm having fun with. There's a little bit of a hint of romance happening. Our main character kind of runs into a very handsome guy and thinks he's putting on an act and has a little bit of a cringy interaction with him in that regard, but they seem to be hitting it off. And so far, it's a fun time. I'm intrigued by the mystery, particularly the mystery with Kath and her mom, but also to see how this murder mystery itself plays out. And I'm excited to keep going on this one. But since this one is going very quickly and my goal is to read a lot of pages, like I said, before noon tomorrow, I'm hoping I can finish this up early on tomorrow. I'll make a good dent, I think, in it tonight, and then definitely continue on in the morning before I go to work and on my way to work and so forth. So I am going to go ahead and roll again 1 or 2 times and see what else we get for some additional prompts. All right, my phone's like on 7% battery or something ridiculous. So we're going to go ahead and hurry up and roll. And I think we're going to do 2 more just because we're going into the weekend, and then I can just come home and read tomorrow night. So ready, set, and roll. We get a 1. And then we are going to do 1 more, and that one we get a number 5. So we're getting a good mix of prompts here. Okay, so we got 2 more prompts, and that's number 1 and number 5. Number 1, the side quest is Lost in the Forest. Read a book that's part of a world you can get lost in. And I have the absolute perfect book for this one. I just got an audio arc of The Lost by Sarah Beth Durst. This is a book set in kind of a world where people get stuck. Our main character is out for a drive. She's avoiding something. She winds up driving into this town and circling, trying to get out of the town, and just keeps winding back up in the middle of town. She's told she needs to talk to the missing man. The missing man is really her only hope to get back out of this world. And yeah, this is a gifted copy I just received from Harlequin Audio, and I'm really excited to pick this one up. I think it will fit this prompt perfectly. And then my next prompt is The Enchanted Grove, and it's to read a book that is known to have more vibes than plot. I don't know if I would say it's known for vibes over plot, but one that's on my TBR for this month is Falling Like Leaves by Misty Wilson. This is an Once Upon a Book Club box book. It's one that's actually on my TBR this month. And really, I know it's compared to Gilmore Girls. It's a small town vibes, fall vibes, and it's a teenager who's being relocated to this little town from a big city and having to adapt, but slowly falling in love with the town, I believe. So yeah, I think it's a YA contemporary romance. It's definitely got the fall vibes going for it. So I think it's going to work quite well for this prompt, and I'm excited to pick it up. And yeah, so with those 2 added, I am really excited to keep reading, and I will be back once I have some more thoughts for you. I'm back with a check-in because I've made some good progress. First off, I have finished Welcome to Murder Week, and I really enjoyed this one. I wouldn't say it blew me out of the water, but I loved the little nods to classic mysteries. This does spoil the ending of a few Agatha Christie novels, so if you're worried about that type of thing, maybe check which ones you need to have read already, because it goes into the endings of a couple of them or the twists in a couple of them to inform the ways in here that the characters are figuring out the murder mystery itself. I really enjoyed following along with the way our main character, Kath, made friends with these roommates she just got placed with and the support that they gave each other in this situation. The mystery surrounding her and her background wasn't necessarily the most impactful to me, I don't think, but I did like that we got answers. I like that she confronted what she learned. Definitely think it wraps up very nicely for our character. There is happiness in her future, and I think that worked really well for me. Overall, I'm giving this one 4 stars. It was entertaining. I'm glad I picked it up. And thank you to Scout Press for gifting me a copy of this one. I have also made it just a little bit past the halfway point in The Lost because I lost a bit of time as I was going and lost track of the fact that I was approaching the midway and was working on some crochet. So that kind of kept me going because I wanted to finish off the piece I was working on, which is part of a sweater that I am in progress with. So in this book, we are following a young woman, and her mother is sick. Her mother has a history of being sick, and the doctors have called her in to discuss some latest test results, and she's assuming that that's bad news. She's kind of trying to bury her head in the sand a little bit, and instead gets lost in a dust storm as she's driving around. And then she winds up in this town of Lost, and she thinks she's there for the night. She takes a room in this really disgusting hotel, tries to eat at this diner that's less than ideal, and the people are a little weird. The people are paying a little bit too much attention to her, but she's like, you know what? I'm driving away tomorrow. No problem. Except she drives away tomorrow and she keeps getting turned around in this dust storm and winding up right back at Lost. Turns out she can't leave. There's someone called the Missing Man who needs to meet with her. He's the one who can help people actually leave once they find what they are themselves missing. Something goes a little buggy with her meeting with the Missing Man. The town turns on her and it's quite the situation. She winds up finding a little girl who helps her out. She winds up finding a man who helps her out, and there is some romance going on here, and the mysteries of this town and this setting are really interesting. I think the first half went a little bit slow for me personally. It took a while for the action to kind of pick up, kind of past the first third or so. I think the grief or the anticipation of grief that our main character is going through definitely resonates. I think the characters and their nods to different ways that things have gone missing in the real world are very interesting. The world building is very interesting. I'm not sure plot-wise where this is going to wind up going, I have some theories, but I'm not sure. So I am very interested definitely to keep going on this one. I think I mentioned this is a gifted audiobook copy that I have from Harlequin Audio. So it is one that I will be reading in the car primarily, I think, and continuing on. I'm planning to pick up my other book that I currently have chosen and see if I want to read it physically. It's not a very long book. It's one where I have the Once Upon a Book Club box gifts to open as I read it. And so I think it might be a sit Kylie in my lap and read, kind of cozy vibes read. We'll see once I get going. I don't have the audiobook for this one. I certainly have a multitude of credits I could use on Libro FM to purchase an audiobook if I want to, but it's a short book, so I'm thinking I might just try to settle in and be cozy. So that's the plan. Going into the weekend, I took the morning off because I'm still getting rid of the last of this cough, or trying to anyway, and so decided to take it a little bit easy, but I am going into the office shortly to work out the rest of the day, and hopefully by taking a little extra time this morning to sleep in a little bit and just kind of relax a little bit, it'll help me have a more healthful weekend ahead and a lot of good reading ahead. So that's the plan. I will keep going and check in later. Hello and happy Saturday. I have a lot of updates for you because I have been making some really good progress on things. So to start with, I did finish up The Lost, and I overall had a really good time with this one. I'm very curious about what the original ending was, because when I looked at this, it is a reissue. It originally came out, I believe, in 2014. So it was expanded, rewritten. The ending, it says, was changed. So I'm really curious. My theory of what was going on did prove to be true, but that didn't impact, I don't think, my enjoyment of it. I still had a good time seeing how that unfolded and how it was revealed. The way things went with our main character, with her really wanting to get back to her mother, but also forming connections within this town of Lost, I think played out really well. I liked how it wound up. In the end, I liked how the world developed around our character. It wasn't necessarily a can't put down type of read, but I think the characters were well done. The world was really interesting. The plot was a little slow in places, so that kind of slowed things down a little bit for me in terms of my enjoyment, but overall I'm giving this one 4 stars. It was a great time and I had fun with it. On my way out the door yesterday, I realized I was getting fairly close to being done with The Lost, so I snuck in one extra roll that I didn't do on face camera. I did film the roll, so as you can see, I got another 8, and 8 means that I get to pick which prompt I'm going with. The one I decided to go for was side quest number 7, which says a dire wolf's howl, read a book that you think will give you chills. And I kind of went the direction of actual chills because the book that I picked up was Throne of Ice and Blood by Marion Blackwood, and it has ice in the title. It has kind of an icy cover, and it has political intrigue and romance and all of these types of things going on in here. Kylie's drinking in the background. You're hearing her collar hitting the bowl, so that's probably audible in the background. After picking this book and starting this book, I realized there's very, very little I can say about this book without spoilers for book 1, because there's a huge twist at the end of book 1, and everything happening in book 2 is because of that. So this is a fantasy series. It's 4 books. The first one, we are following a main character who has magic that allows her to influence the emotions of people. They have to already have that emotion kind of present a little bit for her to manipulate, but if somebody's thinking about trusting her, she can manipulate that into a full trust of her. If somebody's a little bit scared of something, she can induce them to paralyzing fear. And all of that makes for some interesting things that happen when she enters some trials in the first book, because her magic isn't necessarily the type of magic that will help with physical feats and so forth, but she uses the magic in really interesting ways. And I had a lot of fun with it. Was it the best written book? Not necessarily, but the trials and the character I really enjoyed. This is a world where dragon shifters have kind of put the rest of the Fae into a closed off section of the world. They are keeping them trapped there. The trials that our main character entered were to have the opportunity to get into the outside world. She is part of a rebellion against the dragon shifters, which works perfectly for my team for this readathon. Is rogues and rebellions are something that get us a few extra points. So with that, I went into book 2. Can't really say what the plot of that one is. I liked it. I didn't love it. It doesn't have the trials element going on anymore. So So that, I think, was what made me really, really enjoy book 1. I still gave book 2 3 stars. It wasn't bad. It just, for me, there wasn't a lot of plot toward the middle. We get a lot more into the smut and the relationship stuff, which is not my priority. I would rather see that balanced out a little bit more throughout the book. The ending did definitely pick up the pace, and it ends on a cliffhanger, which has me interested to continue on. Here's the thing though, I'm not interested enough to pick this up and have to read it physically, and the audiobooks aren't out yet. This is one of the series that I committed to finishing for my Herkid challenge, but I think what I'm going to do is semi-DNF this series, in the sense that I'm going to DNF the concept of reading it physically, because I just don't think I would. I think I would have DNF'd the book if I didn't have the audio and multitasking to do with it. And I think as the audiobooks for books 3 and 4 come out, then maybe I'd continue on in the series, but I'm not going to hold it against myself for not finishing, because I'm essentially considering this a DNF until more audiobooks in the series come out. So with that, I did finish that one, and I've made it a really good way into Falling Like Leaves, which is the other book that I had picked out. And at this point, I think this is definitely the final book for this particular vlog, because we do get a new prompt drop on Monday, and I do have other weekend plans going on for my reading. So this will be my final book. I made it to chapter 23, which is almost 200 pages into this one, and it's only a little over 300, so I have about 140 pages left, I think, technically. And I'm having a good time with this one. I sat down to read this physically last night. I don't have the audio for this, and I decided I'd see if it's one I feel like using a credit on, or if it's one I want to read physically, and I wound up flying through it. I got in bed last night and wasn't really feeling like holding a book, and this is on KU, so I got it through KU as well, and just sat and kept reading and kept wanting to do one more chapter. That's why I'm like 60% of the way through, not halfway through, to give you an update. Is it groundbreaking material? No, but it's fun, it's cozy, it's definitely got the fall vibes. Our main character, she has moved temporarily to the small town of Bramble Falls. Is that the name of it? Yeah, Bramble Falls. And she and her mom are staying with her aunt and her cousin. She's been here before. She knows a few people, including the boy on the cover, who she was really good friends with in one summer and then hasn't talked to in a few years. And he seems to be very bitter about something, and she's not exactly sure what. But the kind of thing that's driving everything and causing them to keep running into each other, and of course going to be developing feelings about each other and yada yada yada. But the thing that's driving it is that this town does fall, like really, really big. That's where I think the comp to Gilmore Girls really comes in here, and they are doing all these fall activities. Our main character's aunt is the mayor of town, and therefore really involved in all of this, and she gets sucked into it, at first a little reluctantly, but eventually she gets really into it. And so we're doing things like visiting pumpkin patches and hay bales and apple orchards and doing a scavenger hunt through town, and it's just really cozy fall vibes. Is this something that I can relate to in Southern California? We don't really have fall vibes going on. It's barely feeling not like summer anymore. So I think that the vibes of this one 100% are suiting the prompt, where I was to read a book with more vibes than plot. And I mean, obviously these two are going to wind up liking each other and wind up, you know, in a relationship with a happy ever after on the horizon. But I think it's a fun kind of friend group going on in here, kind of a opening of her eyes. Her father's had her really involved in getting into college and into business and all of these things, where her passion kind of is in fashion and creating fashion out of other pieces of clothing. And her mother knows that this is something that, you know, would feed her soul more so. And I think the mom's going to push her in that direction too. I think it's fun to kind of hear about that as well. So I'm having a great time with this one. I did not expect to nearly as much, but I can definitely see the nods to Gilmore Girls in this one. I mean, the dedication, it's not just that it has the same vibes. It does say in the dedication that this is to my PSL drinking, sweater wearing, apple picking, Gilmore Girls watching, pumpkin patch going, candy corn eating, fall loving readers. This one's for you. So it definitely shows the author had an intention there. And I think some of the things it talks about around town give nods. It's definitely not a direct copy of Stars Hollow, but there are definitely nods to a show that is one of my favorites. So having a great time. I am going to probably finish this up today. Like I said, I have other weekend plans going on in terms of some of my reading. So I have a little weekend vlog going on. So this will be my sit down and read book probably this evening once I kind of settle in for the day. I'm waiting for some groceries to arrive. I'm waiting to kind of get some soup on the stove to make my grandma's chicken noodle soup. And that will hopefully help finish up clearing out my congestion a little bit. So anyway, ending on that note, I will check in with you later. I am back with final thoughts. I did indeed finish up Falling Like Leaves last night. Did not get out of bed to come give you an update at that point in time. But while I'm heating up breakfast this morning, it felt like a better time to do the final update. This one was cute. It was predictable. I thought it had some good humor to it. The kind of little bit of a gag that comes back a couple times about disposing of bodies in Mountain Dew amused me quite a bit. And the kind of idea of just this fall vibes just was what I was looking for out of this, and it achieved it. Was the plot predictable? Yes. Did I find the love interest to be a little bit extreme in his feelings? He goes from nothing to really upset really quickly in more than one circumstance and takes things a little too extreme, but I think that was part of his personality. He was described as being someone with a lot of feelings, and he definitely was. But it went the way I expected. The things that surprised our main character I don't think were a surprise to the reader, but I really liked how this wound up. I really liked the characters and the kind of fall experiences that they do go through. And in the end, I'm giving this one 4 stars. I think it's one definitely I'd recommend picking up if you're a fan of something like the Gilmore Girls, where things are a little over the top, a little extreme. The idea of this town having all this free time to put on an entire month plus, it's felt like, of Halloween adventures that take a whole heck of a lot of work to do is, a bit out of the realm of believability, but I'm willing to suspend disbelief for a bit of fun. So this was a good time and an excellent way to wrap up this vlog. I do have today to get a little bit more in for this particular leg of our journey, but I do need to put some focus in on reading A Time of Blood by John Gwynne, because the live show isn't until next Sunday, but my audiobook thought that the live show was today, so it expires in 2 days. So that's where I'm putting the bulk of my time. If I finish it, it definitely will suit some things, so I will not be not contributing to the team. I also have a couple of nonfiction books I'm going to be turning in that weren't part of this vlog that I've kind of been reading along the side, but one of the prompts for this week was about a book that I thought would bring insight, and that seemed perfect for some of my nonfiction November reading on the side. So I feel really good about how this week went. The dice rolls really gave me basically an option to hit every prompt nearly, and the side books I'm doing are hitting the rest of them. So that works quite well for me, and I am very happy to have had a lot of success with the team this week. Go Rogues! And I'm excited to find out what our next prompts are going to be. So next time, I'm not quite sure. I think I'm going to take a different direction than the dice, though I may bring back my D8 later in the month. We shall see how that develops. But in the meantime, I will be continuing to support the Rogues and getting a lot of reading in. Let me know in the comments below, are you participating in this readathon? Do you have experience with Dungeons and Dragons? Because I really don't, aside from the fact that it makes for a fun readathon. Or let me know what you've been up to and reading the last week. Tell me all the things. And if you've made it this far and you don't have anything to comment, leave me a dice emoji. I think that exists, just to let me know that you were here. If you could hit that like button below, I would surely appreciate it, and subscribe if you're interested in more of my dice rolling, more of my readathon participation, and more of my bookish content in general. But for now, I'll leave you here and see you real soon in a new video.